The McBee family says they're fighting to save the farm, but now the federal government is going after assets Steve McBee Sr. transferred to two of his sons. According to a federal lawsuit, the government alleges that Steve Sr. transferred ownership interests in three companies to Jesse and Cole in January of 2024, while he was already under investigation for crop insurance fraud. The government says that included 39% of McBee properties plus 99% interest in Rock Bluff Development and SNK Enterprises. According to the lawsuit, those interests were split between Jesse and Cole, and the government alleges that Steve Sr. received no payment in return. The DOJ claims that those transfers were made anticipating a criminal conviction and is now asking the court to potentially claw those assets back. The government's also seeking money judgments against Jesse and Cole for the value of what they received and wants to prevent those business assets from being sold, mortgaged, or otherwise disposed of while the case plays out. But Steve Sr.'s attorneys are pushing back. They argue that these were gifts to inheritance trusts created for his children back in 2012 and say the government hasn't provided enough facts to prove that the transfers were fraudulent. However, there's another major issue here because according to the DOJ, Steve Sr. was ordered to pay $4 million in restitution after his sentencing, and 4 months later, the government says he still hasn't paid any of it. Which brings me back to what we're watching on the show, because Cole and Kacie are already scared that they could lose their home. At the end of this latest episode, we saw Steven Jr. calling Cole to tell him that the bank was pulling the loan on the land where Cole and Kacie built their house. Cole previously explained that while other land belonging to him and his brothers were apparently safe, for some reason, the land underneath his house had been put under his dad's name. And Kacie summed up the stakes pretty clearly, saying that if they lose their home, she doesn't know what they'll do, seeing as they put all of their money into their house and they can't just start over. Now, as of August 8th, Cole was still posting from the farmhouse, so there's no indication that they've actually lost their home. But this is where Steven Jr. really starts losing me even more. The Allie stuff was bad enough, but with the brothers constantly worried about losing the farm, Cole and Kacie worried about losing their home, the multiple lawsuits. I mean, money is clearly a huge concern, and yet Steven Jr. seems constantly distracted by everything except Missouri. I mean, before he and Allie broke up, he was talking about potentially living part-time in Texas to be with her. Then there was the Vegas trip, which, yeah, technically has a business component, but let's be serious. A pretty small portion of that trip was actually about business outside of the show that they're filming. And maybe Bravo or production paid for some or all of it. We don't know. But from a viewer perspective, the priorities feel strange when the story we're simultaneously being told is that the family business could just collapse. Especially because Steven Jr. has also criticized Galena for traveling too much and, in his opinion, not working enough. And I'm sitting here thinking, you want Galena chained to a desk in Missouri while you're constantly looking for reasons to leave Missouri? I don't know, it's crazy to me because it feels like the family keeps launching new ventures, starting new ideas, chasing new opportunities, but Steven Jr. also seems very easily distracted from the one business they keep telling us they're desperately trying to save. And that makes all of this legal news even more interesting because this is no longer just reality TV drama about a struggling family farm. The feds are now investigating the assets transferred to Jesse and Cole, while Cole is simultaneously worried about whether his own home is safe. Honestly, let the women run the farm. They all seem to have a better grasp over running a business than whatever it is that we're watching right now. What do you think? Knowing everything happening legally and financially behind the scenes, do Steven Jr.'s choices this season make less sense to you, or do you think he's simply trying to find new ways to keep the family business alive? Let me know in the comments.